The Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report with Dom and Charles.
Charles, we said we'd do a wrap-up of the latest developments in the Bruce Lehrmann proceedings.
Yes.
And I just want to say from the offset, Charles, I just want to get this off my chest. Reporting judicial proceedings is protected by the defence of absolute privilege under Section 27, Part 2B of the Defamation Act. So as long as we are simply describing evidence, documents, details tendered in court,
Yes.
I don't see how anybody could sue us.
Is there a problem with us sort of wryly commenting on our opinions about the veracity or otherwise of certain evidence tendered in court?
Yes.
So what we should do is just have a very non-sarcastic tone.
That's right.
This
We should
entire-
just lay it out.
Yeah.
It's very important to lay it out. There's no opinion. I certainly wouldn't want to snigger or laugh.
Well, the funny thing is, Dom, that I suffer from a condition. It's a very rare condition.
Oh, yeah.
Where things that I say sound sarcastic, even when they're not.
The way these things work is that they're on transcript, aren't they, generally? So,
Oh, yeah.
So if the transcript of what you said is
Yeah.
respectful and shows
Yes,
that
of
you
course.
believe what's being said, I think the tone would be hard to communicate in a proceedings.
Well, that's good. But also just recognise that if you do hear a bit of a sarcastic tone coming through, that's just a result of my very rare condition.
Yes.
It doesn't convey any level of sarcasm at all.
And
Yeah.
also, I guess having spent our lives in satire,
Yes.
we have a sort of brain injury whereby
Yes.
we find it very hard to believe even people who've been very honest and done nothing wrong.
Well, exactly.
And it's actually
Yes.
debilitating for us. We are the victims in this
We are the
scenario.
victims, like so many other people in this story.
And if we were sued for
Yes.
defamation,
Yes.
it would actually be victimising us because of our condition.
Yes.
Let's get into it after this. Now, Charles, the thing I want to observe at the start of this process, and again, this is just a report of court proceedings.
Yes, good. I'm glad. We're sort of like the Journal of Record.
Court reporters.
Yeah, we're
in
court
a sense,
reporters,
although
yeah.
we didn't attend the court. We're just basically reading out things from other newspapers. I just want to remind everybody that these proceedings began when Bruce Lehrmann was not identified by the project. He's claiming that the report that they aired, which did not mention his name, nevertheless identified him.
Yes.
At this stage in the proceedings, Charles, would you say that we know who Bruce Lehrmann is?
Yes.
Would you say we know quite a lot about Bruce Lehrmann at this point in time?
Yes, of course.
Because a lot of evidence has been tendered recently. We're going to go through some of the things that the court has heard recently. It's pretty extraordinary. It's pretty extraordinary.
Is the point what you're saying is Bruce Lehrmann brought this proceeding because already he thought, well, when somebody describes, a creep running around Parliament House,
He felt that he'd been
that's
identified.
clearly me. like, isn't that the point? Like, that's what he did.
Well, presumably that's what he was saying. Is
Yeah.
that enough was said.
Yes.
Enough was said that people could conclude it was me if they knew me.
And then what you're saying is, even beyond that, we have been, I think it's right to say, we have been surprised by the allegations made against Bruce Lehrmann in the last week. Like, even knowing everything that we have already known.
Yes.
Including things like the fact that he's also up on other sexual assault charges, completely unrelated to all the Brittany Higgins stuff in Toowoomba, which is in Queensland.
Which is in Queensland, yeah. There's a prominent Toowoomba figure or something, wasn't there?
for a while. So even after all that, there's still a new level of allegations which are a surprise. Run us through them.
Okay, so I've got the list here from The Guardian. They've got a nice little bullet pointed. The 5 things we heard last Thursday. So we're recording this on Friday as the proceedings continue, by the way, so we're not completely up to date. So this is from Taylor Auerbach, who used to be a producer at Channel 7.
A fine, upstanding man.
And was basically Bruce Lehrmann's wrangler or minder, trying to cajole him into giving an interview to their program Spotlight, right?
Yes. So he's working for essentially a fairly tabloid TV news program.
Charles, don't be defaming Spotlight. a fine, upstanding program that in no way salacious.
But whose job is, think what you like about Taylor Auerbach, but, like his job is to do the dirty work of getting interviews. Like that's his job, is to sort of wine and dine
prominent
people.
figures. And he's certainly wined and dined Bruce Lehrmann. Let's listen to some of the things the court heard. Point one, Auerbach told the court, his evidence, not ours, Charles, that Lehrmann bought cocaine and Googled sex workers on a night out. Now, in point one, isn't there a bit of vertical integration? Can't you get the cocaine from the sex workers?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
What's going on there?
Very
That's just
inefficient.
The market needs to solve that one. So that's the allegation.
Yeah.
Point two, Auerbach claimed he was offered a pay rise and promotion.
A minute. Sorry, how do you Google sex workers? Like,
How do you?
Is that illegal or something? Like,
Well, sex work's legal in New Zealand. That'd be fine.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
It's
Okay.
just
So
independent contractors.
is there like brothel.com or
Presumably, yeah. Just Google independent contractors.
I'm going to Google
check
right
it
now. Do you have any cocaine?
Yeah, maybe you can tick a box that says that you can do that. So that's point one.
Yep.
Point two, Auerbach claimed he was, and I'm quoting the Guardian here, he was offered a pay rise and promotion after being rebuked by Seven for putting a Thai massage parlour expense on a Channel 7 credit card and offering his resignation. So this night out happened.
Yeah.
The court heard that basically the personal cards bounced.
Wait a minute. So this is for the sex work or the cocaine?
The sex work. Allegedly, the women turned up at the hotel suite or the apartment, wherever it was that Channel 7 had paid for the accommodation.
Yeah.
And they brought a portable FPOS machine, as you do.
As you do.
Yeah. Because they're independent contractors.
Yeah,
You know, with a
I hope
business
they
to run.
pay themselves super.
Yeah, I hope. I wonder what the credit card charges are. Anyway, so they brought the machine along.
Yep.
And their personal cards didn't work. They bounced. So Auerbach went, well, this is a bit embarrassing. I've got to bring out the Channel 7 corporate card. That won't bounce, presumably.
Yes.
And so that's how Channel 7 got involved in paying for it.
Right. But was Auerbach, surely regardless of who paid for it on the night, this was a work-related expense for Auerbach, wasn't it? Like, his whole job is to get this guy across the line and to agree to do the interview.
Well, this is one of the things that's being contested,
Being
Charles.
told, look, at all costs, let's get this story. This is a hot story. We want to talk to the victim in this story.
Well,
Bruce Lehrmann.
The thing that's strange is that apparently he then, the following day, said to his boss, I've charged all these things that were personal, I'll pay them back, and offered to resign after what went down. But then the court heard he got a promotion.
Right, yes.
So he was
So what you're saying is, do you think that there was just spitballing here, this is not evidence, but spitballing here, you walk into your boss, you say, mate, I've done the most amazing thing. I've actually landed an interview with the guy that you told me to just, no expenses spared, get, right? But in doing so, some of the stuff that I would normally charge to my personal account and then we'd work out a back channel to get me back the money, through per diems or whatever. Instead, I actually just had to go direct using the corporate credit card because my personal credit card didn't work.
Charles, you wanted to know how this whole thing unfolded with Lehrmann and the Googling.
Yeah,
I've got Auerbach's testimony here. I'm
fantastic.
quoting.
Okay, yeah.
He said he was building rapport with Lehrmann
Yep.
in the hope of securing an interview
Yep.
for Spotlight. And here's where I'm quoting. Mr. Lehrmann had, over dinner, purchased a bag of cocaine while we were dining at Franca. Does that mean that someone delivered it to the restaurant? Is he claiming? Or was it like a bonus options menu or something?
Was that the dessert menu?
I don't know.
Look, so wait a minute, where is Franca and how do we
I'm not
get
sure.
a booking there?
So he pulled the cocaine out and then started to put it on a plate.
What, in the restaurant?
Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, no,
I missed
sorry.
it.
Oh.
And then when we got upstairs to the room, he pulled the bag out and started to put it on a plate, I'm quoting still, and then started talking to me about a prospective Spotlight story and his desire to order prostitutes to the Meriton that night, and began Googling a series of websites to try and make that happen. So it's all come out. He's gone upstairs to the Meriton, which Seven, I think, paid for. That's not in dispute. Puts the coke on the plate, starts saying, well, we could do a story. By the way, going to Google me some prostitutes to come to the Meriton. So it's all happening at once. Things are moving quickly, Charles.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think it's building rapport?
I think that's very rapport building.
Okay.
So I've got a few questions which I'd like. I don't know whether it's been answered in evidence, but did he microwave the plate first before he put the cocaine down?
I don't know.
Because you know how otherwise it gets a bit. Well, I've heard.
You've heard?
It gets a bit cluggy.
If you don't
have a sort of slightly heated plate.
It's a good tip, Charles.
I reckon.
Thank you for that.
I reckon that's a thing. And what colour was the plate? Because
white on
white. It's a disaster.
Okay, I can only imagine. Okay, so this is the interesting thing. So point 2 about the claim that Auerbach was offered a pay rise and promotion after being rebuked. So Channel 7 asked lots of questions, and I mean, full credit to the credit card review team at Channel 7. They went, hang on a sec, this isn't quite right. So he sent an email resignation the following day,
Right.
26th of November,
Okay.
7:39 a.m.
Yeah.
So I mean, well done to him for being up that early.
So he
frankly.
was, bump in the morning.
So he billed Channel 7 more than $10,000 for the services of the Thai masseuses. Those are some high-paid masseuses.
Especially, you'd think you'd get somewhere better than Meriton to do that.
And
like,
Matthew,
it's sort of a
is
bit
that the
low
one where
rent.
there was somewhere where he had a jacuzzi. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Matthew
it's just
Richardson, SC, representing Lehrmann, said that Auerbach's payment was personal rather than work-related. Really? Was it? He was building rapport.
I reckon there should be evidence from the people who are on either side of that hotel room, because Meriton apartments are notoriously the walls
Thin
are very
wall.
thin. Like, I think you'd probably be able to get the transcript just from the person next door.
So Lehrmann's lawyer says that it was personal, not work-related. He'd been dishonest in doing it. And then Auerbach said, no, it was to do with my work. And not only did Channel 7 not accept my resignation, but the week after they rebuked me, the week after they rebuked Auerbach for billing the company card, he was offered a promotion and a pay rise.
Yes.
Again from The Guardian.
Well, you can interpret that however you want, but I don't think we're allowed to interpret that.
No,
are
no,
we?
no.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he got the interview, right?
He got the interview, but he probably, you know what I reckon was? I reckon he was promoted for his incredible remorse.
It could be.
Yeah.
Also, maybe his bosses were kind and were like, oh, this poor bloke is spending thousands of dollars on prostitutes
Yeah.
for his personal expenses. He needs
Yes.
more money.
He needs
a
more
higher
money.
salary for his personal expenses.
For his personal expenses, that makes sense.
Be amazing to know.
I've never thought of Channel 7 as a compassionate workplace, but I'm getting the vibe you get is that they're understanding of the foibles of their employees.
Look, once you're in, they'll back it. They'll ask Ben Roberts-Smith.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's take a break for a moment and just double check the legislation on all of this.
The Chaser Report. News you can't trust.
A couple of other brief things that aren't really relevant here. Apparently, Auerbach hates his former colleague Steve Jackson. Lehrmann's SC is trying to claim that this is all Auerbach getting revenge on Channel 7. Auerbach sent...
But wait a minute. Don't Bruce Lehrmann and Auerbach have great rapport?
Well, not so much anymore.
All right.
No,
so,
I think the lawyers are getting stuck into each other.
Yeah.
Look, I hope that after this they can become friends again.
Well, I wonder how they'll become friends again.
There's a ritual, a bonding ritual. Okay, so there's that. Now this is where it starts getting more concerning. It says here Auerbach admitted to sending naked photos of a woman to journalists without her consent.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, who? Auerbach did that?
Auerbach, and this is what was apparently related. The question in court was whether this was related to the termination of his employment at Sky News, and apparently Sky News told him that they were terminating him for trust and confidence issues. So Auerbach's, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some problems with Auerbach.
There's some credibility
issues. The final thing is, and this is interesting, Auerbach claims that he let Lehrmann into the Channel 7 offices to photocopy confidential court documents.
Oh, my fucking Lord.
And
what?
so this is interesting.
Yeah, that's...
So Lehrmann got all these documents, presumably through the discovery process or whatever.
Yes.
You get anything that the other side have on you, you get a copy of.
Which you're explicitly not allowed to then share with media organisations. Like when you do
Is
discovery.
that right?
Yes.
You've been involved in discovery,
Yes,
Charles.
when you're involved in discovery, the whole point is they are there simply for the purposes of that court proceeding. It's
So
actually
Auerbach alleges that some of this stuff was photographed by Mark Llewellyn, the Spotlight EP.
fucking hell.
And he actually
That's-
says that the
that's
smoking gun here is that Llewellyn's glasses and bald head were visible in the screen reflection. That's what Auerbach's claiming.
Wow, I think there's a lot of people with bald heads at Channel 7.
I mean, where was Koshy at the time?
Look, that is a very... that's a big allegation.
It's certainly a big allegation.
Why
So-
is that good? But it's the least salacious.
So
nobody's reported
So
on
Auerbach let him into Channel 7. This is what he's saying. He let Lehrmann into the Channel 7 office, presumably in Martin Place.
Yeah.
Used his staff pass to log into the photocopier.
Yeah.
And left Lehrmann there to photocopy a large number of legal documents. So basically
Right.
the whole dossier
But-
allegedly was handed over.
No, mate, no. That is not what it's saying. It's saying that maybe he his Kinko's card had run out.
Maybe you need to do some.
And
Maybe he's doing uni.
It was just admin, and he would have just taken those documents away. Like he understands. Like Bruce Lehrmann understands that he's not allowed to just willy-nilly share it with a media organisation.
I'm sure.
Like I'm sure.
Maybe he was just photocopying his ass and just sending it to all staff who then couldn't identify him.
Oh, I wonder whether actually, I reckon photocopy would be a good surface to do cocaine from.
Would it?
Yes, because it's
a flat glass surface.
and you could heat it up by using a photocopier thing. Yeah.
And then send it to all staff along with your ass, right? So Auerbach also alleged that Lehrmann paid for the night, the big night, other than the presumably the charges for sex workers, but then asked for and received reimbursement for Channel 7.
Right.
So it's not clear exactly how much Channel 7 paid for in all of this.
But that's not very surprising either, because isn't Channel 7 paying for his apartment?
They're paying for a lot of things for the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's sort of like their version of charity. You know how some organisations do things like give to the homeless or give to
That's true.
the environment,
hospitals,
or give to Médecins Sans Frontières.
People who are doing it tough.
Yeah, and Channel 7 looks at Bruce Lehrmann and goes, well, that's what we do.
So Charles, I guess the question I'd ask at the end of this, and it's really for listeners to make up their own minds. I wouldn't want to speculate. Have these proceedings saved Bruce Lehrmann's reputation and protected it from any harm it may have received at the hands of the project? Or is Bruce Lehrmann now in a more embarrassing position than he was when he started? This is something defamation plaintiffs often end up asking themselves, I've noticed, Charles.
Yes. It does make you go, maybe defamation law in this country doesn't need reform. Like maybe.
Well, it did get reformed so that truth was a complete defence. So that was a good change.
And I think people are still having a hard time catching up with that reform because they keep it. But it's good. I like the defamation laws at the moment. A lot of people say they're still too, on the side of the plaintiff. But
they're not looking that way in court. Plaintiffs aren't kicking a lot of ass in the court.
Yeah, but I like them because they sort of like, it's like putting out some bait for a fish.
A trail of white powder.
A trail of white powder. They grab onto it, and then we get to be able to read the court transcripts, and everyone wins.
I mean, all I'm saying, this is just stuff the court heard. We're not reflecting on it in any way.
No. Yeah.
I just hope justice is done, Charles. I just hope justice is done. That's my only hope in mentioning these proceedings is a desire to see justice done. This just leaves me with one question. I guess at the end of all this evidence we've heard, all this interesting detail, which doesn't mean anything as far as I can tell. It certainly doesn't make me change my opinion of anybody's reputation. What can we sell Channel 7? Because to be honest, they pay well.
Yes. But the problem is I don't really want to, like, none of the things that got rapport with Bruce Lehrmann, they're not really things that would get rapport with me.
Well, Charles, would you have to hang out with Channel 7 journos?
You'd have to hang out
with producers from Spotlight?
Yeah. No, see, this is maybe that's the way they get rapport with us, is to agree. Like $10,000, I'm just thinking you could buy the latest Mac. Like there's so many.
I love that. If you want to buy Charles, get it the latest Mac. You can put that towards your mortgage.
Yeah, or you could put it towards your mortgage. You could buy a fuck it off TV. I mean, like there's so many that you could go around the world on that sort of money.
So you heard it here first. If any media organisation wants to buy Charles Firth, just get the latest Mac and bring it to the Chase Report. Who can you give dirt on?
Anyone. Like, I'll give dirt. I'll sell you out for a new Mac.
Our gear is from Road. We're part of the Iconoclast Network. Charles Firth is on the market.
I've got all the dirt on Dom Knight.